Hello and welcome, my fellow miner. Today we are going to do it a bit differently. If you get driving sick or seasick, then this is the time to eat your pill. We're going to have a look at the GIMP. It is this one down here. It consists of, you have seen it before, it's my test rig with 6 graphic cards and a very nice 12-year-old motherboard and CPU. The problem here is that I can only actually run 6 graphic cards, even though I have more PCI Express slots to actually plug in more, and I need more for my test rig, so I need to change the motherboard. And thanks to CMG Mining for sponsoring this video. They have sent me a very nice motherboard and a CPU, cooler, RAM, pretty much everything I need, including a solid state drive that I'm not entirely sure I'm going to use yet. Because I want it to run both Hive OS and Windows. And in Windows I actually need a lot of gigabytes of storage. So I think I'll just use the same solid state drive as I already have. Here we have the RTX 3080 Ti running, as you see. And crazy enough, it's not even dusty. And that is due to this one here actually having a filter on. I have a whole bunch of them at home, but I forgot to bring them with me. I was supposed to have put them on. It actually helps a lot. And then you just clean the fan shield, and you save a lot of time on cleaning your graphic cards, right? Anyway, my whole awesome dual boot system consists of my EVGA PSU that is hooked up to a solid state drive there from Samsung. And then it is plugged up here to a smart plug, and then when I turn on the smart plug, the solid state drive turns on and I can boot into Windows. When I turn it off, well, then obviously the solid state drive is off and it starts on the USB instead, which is there underneath the Ethernet cable. So it's pretty awesome. This video is sponsored by CMGmining.eu. They provided the motherboard, CPU, RAM, etc. as I described in the video. Head over to their page. They have a lot of very nice stuff that you would definitely need at some point, like Ritter cards and 1 to 4 PCIe thermal paddings. I actually bought from them here. Before I accepted the sponsorship, I placed an order and I got it via UPS a couple of days afterwards. Since I ordered over my company, VAT was subtracted. They of course have international shipping. Let's have a look at Medusa. She is up here with 3 Corsair HX 1000 power supplies running up here. And there's a third one over there. And 11 full hash rate cards connected to it. With cables everywhere. As you see, I haven't actually unplugged all the RGBs yet, but they will be unplugged when I need to change the thermal paddings, which is soon, because it's been running for a year now. Many of the cards have been running for a year now, so I need to change them anyway. And then I'll unplug all the RGBs and lose, I don't know, like 20% hash rate, because everything runs faster with RGBs. And if you wonder why it's called the Medusa, then just look at the cables here. Running everywhere. And also if we look underneath, it's like a ton of cables. I gave up on hiding them. I know that my rigs, they will most likely win the most beautiful rigs contest 2022, but I cannot accept that award. I won't take it. It's not about having a pretty rig, it's about being practical. So even though I would definitely win, my main focus is security. As you can see, my switch hanging there, but it's tied up with an Ethernet cable, of course. So yeah, I'm just being practical about it, and I will actually never build a pretty rig, to be honest, because it's a waste of time for me. I have a very small screen here. That is actually one for a Raspberry Pi. I just bought it on, was it Amazon or AliExpress? I can't remember. It didn't cost much. I think I gave like $30 for it. And I use that for debugging and everything, setting it up. So yes, now let's have a look at the hardware. We will be switching out the GIMP's motherboard. Actually, I think I will completely box the GIMP again. When you bring the GIMP out of the box, you have to box him again one day anyway, so why not today? And then create a completely new rig. I'll reveal the awesome name I have for it later in the video, so stay tuned. But we will be using the TZ590 BTC Duo. And the reason why it's called Duo is because it's also very good for TIA, the hard drive storage slash crypto. I'm actually running it on my home PC as well, TIA mining, and I've never gotten a single TIA. So I'm not entirely sure if I'll spend time setting that up, but it could be fun for some testing though, because this can really run a lot at the same time, and maybe create a lot of TIA plots and then just sell them online. Maybe that is a good business. I need to check up on that first though. So a TZ590 thanks to cmgmining.eu, followed by a very nice CPU here, the Intel Celeron G5905. That is actually more than enough to run all the cards. And then a BIOSTAR solid state drive, 120 gigabytes. Followed also by 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is perfect. Everything I need to run this in Windows stably, while HiveOS doesn't really care about the amount of RAM. I think 4 or 8 would actually do perfectly in HiveOS. And of course I need to add a new power supply, because I don't think what I have here is enough to run all the cards, at least not to the maximum of 80%, which is what I aim for. And if you notice, I don't have any server power supplies, I don't have any splitter cables. I have extender cables, which I actually would prefer not to use, even though these are high quality extender cables. They still run a risk of burning off just fine. I bought like 4 packages of them, and they're very expensive, and of course one of the cables were a defect when I got it, right? But that is all I use. I will most likely never use server power supplies, at least not the used ones or refurbished ones. I prefer mine completely new, because of course it's very sad if it burns off and then smash a card or 2 or 3 for that sake. But it's even worse if it burns my building down, right? That would suck a lot. Although it is a bit unlikely that it would burn my building down. I have security cameras here that detect fire as well from Google, and I have fire alarms, and here you see a temperature alarm from Hey Home. Monitors the temperature in here. So if a fire should start, it's very unlikely that everything would burn, but still, I prefer not to take the risk. 3 cards to the rig. So first up is the iChill X4 3070. Then we have a 3070 from Gigabyte, and then, and this is quite what can I say, this is kind of a surprise to me that it works this well. This is an RTX 3060 Ti from MSI with Hynix memory. Yes, you heard it, Hynix as well. However, there's a huge difference in how high I can clock the memory on this card compared to the RTX 3060 Ti with a Hynix memory and 2 balls of steel, military grade from Asus, their top series. And that is what we're going to test at the end of this. We're going to test the new Hynix memory versus the old Hynix memory, to see if we should still avoid actually buying those cards. So I was trying to see if I could get a Samsung card, and someone told me, oh, buy there, that is Samsung. I bought, and then of course it was Hynix, whatever. But I'm actually positively surprised, as it actually clocks better than my full hash rate Samsung memory cards. So it's pretty impressive. Yes, I'll start disassembling everything and unpacking everything, and then we will assemble it again and see how awesome everything is. But before we actually do that, I can show the shelves here. These are just normal shelves I bought from Bauhaus, metal shelves. I used them, I turned them upside down, and funny enough, you can see the graphic cards, they actually plug into them perfectly. Of course, I measured that before I bought them. They just plug in and then they sit on them perfectly. It's actually super nice, and that allows me to just, when I need to clean the whole rig or something, I just unplug the tray and carry the tray out, and then I blast it with air, and then I come back. So it's quite efficient, to be honest. On a little bit of cable hell though, but that is unavoidable. Oh, and just to show you workshop cleanliness, this is how my workshop looks. It's very clean. It's very important to have a clean workshop when you have graphic cards. Funny enough, they don't get dusty, but that there is a French hot dog with chili. And since I didn't bring one with me today, I am guessing that this is the one I brought from before Christmas and could not find. And it's right here on my table. That is nice. I don't think I'll eat it though. Or maybe I will. It depends on how hungry I get. As you can see here, I'm using a PCI 1-4. I actually have a whole bunch of them, and it's a real lifesaver. My disk PC, which is the one I've taken all the graphic cards from, which actually I left one 3060 at home as I'll use it for software developing and initial testing. It's just easy on my desk computer at home. I actually also had one there, and then I have one extra, and I actually have one extra more. I have 4 of them in total, and they are lifesavers. If you stand there and you buy a new graphic card and you're just missing one slot, plug one in and see if it works. In this case, with this specific motherboard, it didn't. Well, it did to some degree. I went from 5 to 6. While my home one doesn't seem to have any limit, but it's also a newer motherboard, while this one is actually 12 years old now. There, done. It has been assembled. You can see the cooler is on. I hate those coolers. I swear they are so frustrating, but this time it went fine. I just put it on and pushed down the locks, and they actually locked for the first time ever. And 16 gigabytes of RAM from Crucial. Also on the courtesy from the courtesies of cmgmining.eu. And check out this tiny cooler here compared to the GIMP. It's completely insane. And also the GIMP cooler, I cleaned it last year for the first time ever. It looked like it had sucked in a poodle. I tried to manually clean it. That was impossible. So I put it in the dishwasher 3 times on pots and pans to get it to this state here. So that was a hard fight. So a huge difference. And over here we actually have the i7 930, where people have always told me that if you overclock it to 4 gigahertz, gigahertz, sorry, then you'll shorten the life of it. It has only been running for 12 years now, so I'm not sure exactly when it will die, because it's been running overclock most of its career, not as a miner though. The last year it has just been running at as low power as possible. Yeah. There. The GIMP has been boxed. All I need now is to actually move the motherboard to this tray here. It's my test rig tray. I have a couple of them. I have a bunch of them, but I for some reason forgot to take one with me. Move this over, and the reason why I do that is in case that I actually want to mine what's it called? Chia. We can see here that this one here has a lot of M2 slots, and in case that I'm going to mine Chia, then I would very much like airflow underneath as well, right? And that is where the tray comes in. Well, I wouldn't actually need it, so. But I need to tray it, hook everything up, power it on, have my fire extinguisher close to me, and then hope everything goes well. It usually does. Seldomly something burns, but it does happen from time to time. But not for me. I've actually never burned anything. But I've seen my friends do it, so and not their fault though, just by accident, I would say, defects in hardware, etc. But I'll tray it and plug it in, and then we'll try to actually power it on. And then of course install Windows and HiveOS on a USB, and that is it. Look at all these SATA slots, it's completely insane. I mean, definitely the motherboard you want to go with if you want to mine both TI and other cryptocurrency that is graphic card based, GPU based, and as far as I understand you can even game on it. It has a PCI Express 4 there. Should be a pretty good all-around motherboard. Actually, it looks pretty nice, but for some reason it's missing a onboard power on button. So I need to short the pins over here. I can't get the camera to focus, of course. There. It's quite easy. I'll just put my fingers on and it will power on, and then I'll go in and set it to always start when power off. Then I never need to do it again. So not a problem. It will be fine. Done. It's running on the onboard graphic card, or actually the CPU's IGP. And it's up and running here on this very big monitor. It's very clear, actually. So I'll install Windows, and then we'll let it boot up the first time, and then we'll plug all the cards in. It's going to be very exciting stuff. Can't wait for it to be done. You have to click like 800 times. No, I don't want, no. And also, if you actually install Windows and you don't have a CD key and don't want to create an account, just unplug your Ethernet cable and install it. Then you can always plug it in afterwards. That way you can create a local account immediately with no password to log in, etc. Finally, all I need to do now is plug in the Ethernet cable and install TeamViewer. Then I will actually plug in all the graphic cards, boot up once, and also do HiveOS, which is super easy. I just plug in the USB and it works. Completely forgot, I need to update Windows, so that will take some extra time. While I wait for Windows to update, I may as well actually go in, start plugging in the graphic cards. I've made a nice space for it over here. Actually, I think slightly they may fit, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, I'll be inventive, and I have 3 Razer cards there. I could also use this actually. I'm not entirely sure if I'll use it now or wait a bit. So yes, time to plug the cards in. Right, finally done. So I'm not sure you can see the system here. I go after the cable pattern called Chaos. So Chaos Spaghetti cable pattern. It's very it's new, so you may not have heard about it. Of course, one of the PCI Express plugins for the Razer card is gone, so I'm using this here, my 1 to 4 PCI Express. As I told you, they're very useful. Definitely get one, or 4 for that matter. So here we have all the graphic cards lined up. I'm going to boot them up and see how the heat is, and then I may rearrange them a little bit, create some more distance between some of them. That's going to be exciting to see if it explodes, but usually it works. I turn on all the power supplies at the same time. I connect them with these. So now this motherboard actually has 2 spots for 2 ATX power connectors. And then I use one of these on the 3rd one. And then when I turn on the primary, meaning the motherboard, then everything turns on. It's quite nice. I just turned it on, no smoke, everything looks to be connected perfectly, as we can see here on the startup screen. And it will boot into HiveOS now. Let's go down and check quickly here. No smoke, that is a good sign. I'm very pleased with myself. Obviously there are a few spots here where you can actually mess up very badly. One is connecting to the PCI Express in reverse when you use the Razers. You can see here If we take a look at the white one here, there, if you have a full PCI Express slot and you turn it around, then you'll actually burn the port, and you can risk burning your PCIe lanes on your graphic card, completely ruining it. You can also actually blow up the card, so it's pretty bad. If you use razors, then make sure you connect them correctly, while this motherboard actually enforces it. There's not really any way I can connect it wrongly, with the exception of the PCI Express 4, where I have my 1 to 4 PCI Express. So that is the only way I can mess this up. Then of course there is the second way of messing it up, is you overload a power supply unit. And that is actually the easiest to do. Many don't think about what happens if their graphic cards run on full speed. And then also they use maximum power. And if you have a 1000 watts power supply, and you spend over 1000 watts, then it will go boom pretty badly. Now this is a more expensive one. It has some security built in, etc. So I don't think it will actually happen on this. But also if you run over 80% on your total system, so that means you have a 1000 watt power supply unit and you run 900 and you run it for a while, then you can also break your stuff. So maximum use 80%, and that also of course comes to the main power. Up here you see I have the main power there, and I have a pretty hefty cable here. I can connect a lot more rigs here without a problem. But anyway, if you go over the 80% of the maximum power on a normal power plug, not this one specifically, here I can actually go 100%, but I would not, because the cables most likely won't be able to handle it. You can actually burn the cables first of all. They're not designed to run at 100% all the time. They're designed to run at 80% max all the time. You can have peaks that go over, that is completely fine, but don't run consistently over 80%. Then you'll burn your cables. The same goes for the power plug and the power rail there. Always consider to only use a maximum of 80% overall, or you'll end up with a electrical fire somewhere, which is usually pretty bad for business. You see here all the graphic cards are scrambled up in an order I don't approve of. So I will need to switch the 3060 with the 3080 Ti, the 3070 Ti with the 3060 Ti LHR from Asus, and so forth. So this is kind of tedious, but whatever. It needs to be done. So close. Now all I need is just to switch a 3070 with the 3070 Ti, and then I should be done. Obviously I have a lot of 3070s here, so it will be a bit interesting to see if I can hit the right one. Usually I always go wrong, and I can see two of them are the same, so that should be pretty easy, but I'll most likely pick the wrong one anyway and do this one more time. Success! Finally! Yes, of course I plugged it into the wrong one and had to do it again. What I need now is just to boot it up in Windows, and then I'm actually off to home, where I will test the two different RTX 3060 Ti's with Hynix RAM against each other. I kind of look forward to it, because my general experience with Hynix memory is that it's pretty bad, but that is not the case anymore. And we are running in Windows. Perfect, then everything is done and I can go home, set up the configurations and start the testing. The RTX 3060 Ti versus the RTX 3060 Ti military grade dual balls of steel tough series from Asus. And now it's finally time for the big name reveal. Are you as excited as I am? You can feel that excitement. You can almost not take it anymore. I present the guinea pig, No, sorry, that is completely wrong. It is with an R instead of a P, so the guinea rig. Of course I chose a name that I can't pronounce properly. Here, have a graphic card. There, with 2 balls of steel as well. Yes, I know, I'm pretty horrible when it comes to naming. Anyway, it's time to have a look at the guinea rig in Hive OS. Here I have my 2 farms, Medusa and test rigs, and guinea rig is under test rigs. Here we see all the lovely graphic cards and messages that refuse to disappear. If you note the DIY 3070 Ti, then it has a fan speed of 0, which is definitely a lie. It actually is at 80% just like the rest of them. But yeah, it's a DIY card for a reason. Very poor quality from Zotac Gaming there. Thank you very much yet again. For some odd reason it happens from time to time and I just leave it alone and then all of a sudden it starts showing again. The idea is that we will be testing the RTX 3060 Ti versus the RTX 3060 Ti, both with Hynix memory, and see which one can clock the highest and what the benefits would be. First of all, we have to figure out where the breaking point are for each card and then move on from there. And then move on to finding the right LHR value, as the higher you can clock your memory, the higher you can set your LHR value. Here we see both cards running at 2100, which is 1050 in Windows without any problem. And here we see both at 2300, which I know is only possible for the Asus card because it's in a very cold place right now. But it works, it runs actually quite stable on 2300, so that is perfectly fine for now. When it starts getting warmer, I won't be able to do it anymore. Now let's try and clock them at 2500. That is 1250 in Windows. So far so good. We just changed the last one here to 2500 and then we wait a bit. We wait a bit more. Of course, as soon as I start recording it won't crash. There, finally. It died. That is the tough with 2 balls of steel, military grade. It couldn't handle it. Anyway, we put it back at 2300 and I will most likely need to reboot because now it's very sad forever. Now let's find the breaking point for the MSI card. 3600 is too high for it, at least at 80% fan speed. If I put it at 100 I can actually put it at 3800. Anyway, what we're going to do is back it down to 3500, which is 1750 in Windows. As you can see here, I set the LHR value of both cards to 80, and now I'll just let it fast forward so you can see where it stabilizes, and then we will head on to the average result for both cards and see what you actually gain by having the revision 2 of Hynix memory. A little time jump of 36 minutes and you will notice that Asus has stabilized at 75.5 LHR, while MSI, which has the higher memory clock, stabilizes at 77.5. Oh, I actually forgot to mention that even though they ran the exact same speed on both core and memory, the MSI card actually uses a lot more power throughout. But here we can see that it also results in a higher hash rate. Not by much though. Now let's move on and have a look at the average results for both cards. Actually, before we do that, note that the DIY 3070 Ti from Zotac Gaming now decides to show fan speed. It is amazing. Fantastic card. First up is the Asus RTX 3060 Ti with Hynix memory, military grade. 44.7 mega hash per second at 127 watts, which gives an efficiency of 0.352. The LHR setting settled at 75.5. And no, it's not me claiming that it is military grade, it is Asus, it is their tough series. Up next we have the MSI RTX 3060 Ti, also with Hynix memory. However, this is a newer version, which is much better apparently. 46.2 megahash per second at 137 watts, which gives an efficiency of 0.337 with an LHR setting at 77.5. What can we take from this? Well, it's actually quite easy. It pretty much doesn't matter if you have the old version or the new version. There's 1.5 megahash per second difference. However, in this case here, it's also 10 watts more, but it's even 10 watts more on the same setting, so that could just be unlucky chip. Luckily for me, I actually got the MSI RTX 3060 Ti cheap. If this is the first time you watch one of my videos, then welcome. You should go check out my channel. I have some very nice videos there with a lot of different benchmarks for all the LHR cards. I also have how to mine flux, how to mine toncoin, and how to exchange toncoin, as well as tests for miners and drivers. I would like to thank GMiner.eu for sponsoring this video. That is everything for this time. Remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you like my content. Also click like on the video and share it with your grandpa. See you in the next one.